Some years ago, when I was pastor of our Blessed Sacrament Church in the city of New York, a church called Saint Jean-Baptiste, we invited a couple Maronite priests, Catholic priests, to come and celebrate the Eucharist in our church. And it was fascinating. I've been to rituals of other Catholic rites, and that this was the first time I attended a Maronite Catholic rite. And all of us priests and brothers were sitting, observing what was being said and done. Of course, we didn't understand it because it was largely done in Aramaic. And this is one of the distinctive features of the Maronite Church, is that they speak the language that Jesus would have spoken in ordinary life, Aramaic, not Hebrew. And this rite is a very old rite in the church. And it reminds us that Catholicism, part of the beauty and the genius of it is that people of different cultures and different ways of worshiping can have commonality through a unity of faith and through the holding of certain particular things in common. Even though we didn't understand the language, we recognized at one point where the consecration was taking place, because we saw the words, we heard the words and saw the gestures of Jesus repeated as we do in our language, in our worship. Again, it's a beautiful reaffirmation of the unity of the church, and that we exist in diversity, and there's also unity. Saint Charbel Macluf was a hermit, and yet, because of his holiness, people came to visit him. And they found spiritual enrichment in the encounter and in the possibility of confessing to this holy man. He was one person living alone, but he influenced a lot of people through his evident holiness and his devotion to Christ. He was a source of renewal for those who came to him. And our first reading today speaks about the renewal of the city of Jerusalem after the exile. A remnant will arise among God's people who will seek the ways of God, seek to be faithful to the covenant, so much so that it will be clear to everyone that God rules in his holy city, that the throne of God is in the midst of his people. This beautiful and encouraging word was spoken to a people who had suffered 50 years of exile and the loss of many of the elders who went into exile and who died in a foreign land. But they recognized the faithfulness of God, and then from a few can come great blessings. It is a reminder to all of us that our lives have the potential to touch other people. If we are genuine, if we are devoted, if we are cognizant of our sin, but also of the grace of God at work in us, if we love Christ deeply and also love the members of his body, then we too help to renew the church and the world around us each day. Jerusalem became a shining light among the nations of the world because of the holiness of this faithful people, this remnant. May our lives also give evidence of the presence of God in us.